So I think I'm gonna do things a little bit different for this video. Normally I have an entire script written out and I just primarily read what I want to say, but instead I have a list of bullet points, and I'm just gonna let that be my, I guess, my guide for what I want to say. I may be new to the Diablo series, but I'm not necessarily new to the ARPG series. I've already sunk in a few dozen hours into Path of Exile, so I had a good enough idea of what I was getting myself into. So I will be judging Diablo 4 based on the beta and the server slam, and not the final product that is going to be released on June 6th. So anything regarding the game's balance or monetization I will not be covering, and in fact those things are subject to change anyways. So to start off with the negatives, as I want to end the video off with a list of positives. So I think the first gripe, and I don't think that this is necessarily something that Blizzard's entirely at fault for, and that is the $70 price tag. So it seems like the games industry is shifting towards a $70 price tag. We see this with Tears of the Kingdom and even Jedi Survivor. I'm not sure if this is necessarily just purely business, corporate greed, or it is a response to a possible recession that we're heading towards. The second thing would be the fact that this game requires you to always be online. And I think they're doing this just so that Diablo 4 has a bit of an MMO-ish kind of feel to it. It's something similar to Lost Ark. I question if this is really necessary, because my understanding is that Diablo games, while there is an online component, they have always been single player experiences. I could be completely wrong about that, so let me know if I am wrong. The third thing is probably the character customization. It's fine. But I do think that there should be a bit more, and I think this is just a byproduct of a lot of other games that people play, from Divinity 2, Baldur's Gate, Skyrim, where you have a ton of customization options, including racial customization. So Diablo 4 does not have your other fantasy races. Everybody is just a human. But even then, I would think that there'd be at least a lot more options for like hair, maybe a few more skin tones, but like I said, it's fine, but it's not great. I'm not sure about any other players, but I did experience some frame rate drops. This was primarily during cutscenes and even the transitions into said cutscenes. So the frame rate drops, I'm not sure if that's the server, my internet, my PC not being up to par, and I will admit, while my PC components can run Diablo 4, it's not the top of the line. It's not using the top of the line components. So there is a genuine chance that these frame rate drops is an issue on me and not the game itself. But something that that is on the game, or more specifically the designers and dev team, is the skill tree. And specifically the shape of the skill tree. I know this sounds really dumb, really silly, but the skill tree in Diablo 4 is essentially a giant zigzag with some branches going off to the sides. The skill tree, it functions fine. It's just visually looking at it, it's really freaking weird. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's lazy, but it's not very interesting. I think when it comes to skill trees, I'm more used to something like Borderlands, where you essentially have 3 skill trees, and yes, all of those skill trees are descending, moving down, but you have to manage how many points do you want to put into each skill tree. For example, If Diablo 4 went the Borderlands version of skill trees, the sorcerer would have one skill tree dedicated to frost, a second skill tree dedicated to fire, and a third skill tree dedicated to lightning. Yeah, I may not be visually interested or impressed by the skill tree, but you know what, it functions, and that's really what matters. So those are my nitpicks with Diablo 4. Admittedly, a lot of them are not like big criticisms. It's like I said, it's essentially quite a few nitpicks. So what Diablo does good is, well, I'm gonna say the atmosphere and world building. I will admit that I don't know much about Diablo lore. The most that I do know is that this is one of Blizzard's darker and more mature narrative pieces. Compare that to the worlds of Overwatch and World of Warcraft, where everything is very bright, colorful, and fairly optimistic. Diablo is very dark, both narratively and visually. The atmosphere reflects that very well. Gameplay wise, everything feels good. It feels good kiting enemies and essentially doing tons and tons of damage, watching entire waves of enemies just explode. And that's kind of the point of an ARPG, right? To just become stupidly overpowered and to wipe out hordes of enemies in 1 to 2 buttons. So something else that I do want to mention, but I'm not sure if this was specific for the betas and the Server Slam, leveling up seemed to be pretty fast, and I'm gonna say that this is definitely a good thing, because like I said, with ARPGs, you want to be overpowered, you want to be the raid boss. So consistently leveling up, getting new abilities, and even putting points into those abilities to make them even stronger, it feels good. You feel like you're consistently becoming stronger. There's always a sense of progress that's happening. So here's the final question to everything. Will I be buying Diablo 4? Did the beta and the Server Slam impress me enough to where I would want to go out and buy Diablo 4? And my answer is yeah, I'll probably buy Diablo 4 eventually. I say eventually because 2023 is turning out to be a very good year for video games, and they are all begging for your money and attention when realistically money doesn't grow on trees. Like I said, $70 seems to be the new price tag that AAA games are going for. So that's really going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.